Hello everyone, it's Caitlin. Welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I have a new TBR game. Now, if you are familiar with some of my videos, you would know that I have done 2 months of my TBR pursuit, and I've had a lot of fun playing my TBR game, but over the past week or so I've kind of been thinking that I wanted to do a new TBR game for a few reasons. The first being I felt like I was more forcing myself to read specific genres rather than have like more fun prompts, which was one of the reasons why I wanted to create this TBR game. Another reason why I wanted to change it is because I didn't realize until after I uploaded my first one that someone already had the TBR Pursuit game, and while hers was a little bit different than mine, she was kind of playing towards the actual Trivial Pursuit side of the game. I just kind of decided that I wanted to make my own game and make it my own completely, and so that's what I did. I came up with a few game ideas that I liked, but one of them I just liked the most out of that, and that is when I created TBR Trouble. One reason I loved it was just because I loved the name TBR Trouble. It kind of just rolls off your tongue, so I thought that this would be a really fun idea, as well as it's pretty simple. So as you can see, there are 4 colors on this board, and each color represents a genre. So we have yellow being our fantasy genre, we have the red being contemporary / romance, so I can choose one of those, or if I want to read a contemporary romance. Green represents kind of others, so that can be nonfiction, that can be graphic novels, so that can be literally anything that I have not put on the board. And then lastly is blue, which is classics. And basically, like I said, every color represents a different genre, and I'm in a roll, and once I move to whatever color it is, I have to first of all read a book that is in that genre, but then I also have to grab a cup challenge out of here, and then whatever challenge it is, I have to read a book that not only matches this challenge but matches the genre itself. Now, every month I'm going to be rolling 6 times. That's the basis number, but if I get the same number twice, I will be adding a roll, kind of similar to a lot of other people's TBR games. So for my punishment, it's going to kind of be the same. If I don't read the book or books every month, I will be putting them on like a second chance shelf book, and so I do have a prompt in here that is second chance book, so I have to read that. But otherwise, I can choose to read those books in the next months if it matches the specific genre or whatnot. And I don't know how many months I'm going to say, maybe about 3 or 4. If I don't read them in the next 3 to 4 months, then I'm going to unhaul them. That way I can kind of put forward the books that I truly want to keep on my shelf. So yeah, that is basically all I can think of for the rules or things like that, but I'm very excited to see how this goes. And yeah, let's just get on with the rolls. Alright, so I'm going to start right here, just in between the fantasy and the classic. So roll number 1. We got a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is a fantasy. So let's choose one of these for fantasy. Choose this one. So we have oldest book on my TBR, so I will be choosing a fantasy that is one of the oldest on my TBR. Alright, so for the first roll we have a fantasy book, and the prompt that I picked up for this one is the oldest book on my TBR. Now this one I had to kind of think of, and I believe that this is the oldest fantasy book on my TBR, and that is The Warrior Heir by Cinda Williams Chima. This book I actually tried to read like many years ago, but I only got like, I want to say 20 pages into it. But for the most part, I believe that this is the oldest book that is a fantasy book on my TBR. About a boy named Jack, and before he knew about the roses, he lived in a small town in Ohio, and he's, I believe, if I remember correctly, he's like a soccer player, and he basically learns that he is a Weirland, which is part of an underground society of magical people who live among them. And at their helm sits the feuding houses of the Red Rose and the White roses, which power is determined by playing the game, which is a magical tournament in which each house sponsors a warrior to fight to the death. The winning house rules the wire, and if his bizarre heritage isn't enough, he finds out that he's not just another member of the Weirland, he's one of the last of the warriors at a time when both houses are scouting for a player. Now that I'm reading the back of it, it kind of seems like a little bit of like a Triwizard tournament where each house is kind of representing a player, a warrior, and kind of throwing it. So that seems pretty exciting. So hopefully I can read this one and finally kind of push it off of my TBR, because it honestly just has been sitting there. So I'm excited to hopefully enjoy this one as well. Roll number 2 is a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a contemporary / a fantasy. Let's see what kind of contemporary romance we are going to read. So this one's actually pretty easy. We have a standalone. The second roll I had was a contemporary romance, and that is a standalone that I chose. So that's pretty easy because most contemporary romances are standalone. And for this one, I'm choosing Well Met by Jen DeLuca. This is one that I have recently picked up. So this takes place in a small town in Maryland, and the main characters are Emily and Simon, and it takes place mostly at a Renaissance fair during the summer, and Simon's family is the one that owns the Renaissance fair, and Emily has been somehow roped into volunteering, and so this seems really, really cute. I absolutely love the cover. I love the colors of it and the outfits that they're wearing. So I wanted to read this in February, but I am excited that I can get to this. Roll number 3 is a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have an other. So I'm going to decide what kind of book I will choose then, or what genre I should say I will choose based on what I pick. So this one is a short read. So we will figure out which kind of book to pick for a short read. So for the third roll, I had other, and for that kind of prompt, I had to choose a short read. Now this one I have 2 that I'm going to show with you guys. So the first one is a nonfiction book, and this is one that I've had on my TBR for a good chunk of time, probably since like around November, and that is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. And then we have a graphic novel by Art Spiegelman, and this is, I believe how you pronounce it is Mouse or Moss. Please let me know. And this is number 1, My Father Bleeds History, A Survivor's Tale. So if I remember correctly, or if I know this at all, the story is about Vladek Spiegelman, which is Art Spiegelman's father, and he is one of the Jewish survivors of the Holocaust and of that whole Hitler era. It has been one that I've heard a lot about, and so this could be a fun read. Let's see if they have this book on audiobook, because I have tried to read like 1 chapter or 2 chapters of it, and I just really was like, I feel like this is something that I'd have to listen to. Okay, so this book is on hold, but it won't be ready for 10 weeks. So I think I'm gonna go with Mouse. That way it kind of switches up the format, and like I said, this has been one that I've been wanting to read for a really long time. We'll just have to push this back maybe till when the audiobook comes out. I don't really know, but I'm going to choose for my other short read, we are going to read this one, and I'm actually very excited about this. Roll number 4 is another 5. So we will be adding another roll to that. So for this other book, our prompt is an Instagram book. So I will basically just go on my Bookstagram. If you want to follow me, my links will be down below. But I will go on my Bookstagram and just kind of scroll through, and the first book that I see that fits the other prompt is the one that I will be reading for this book. Okay, so for my other one, I have Instagram. So I'm not sure which genre I'm going to choose yet, but we will kind of see what I see on Instagram. So I have refreshed the page. I don't know, I showed you. I'm going to put it up here. So I pulled it down. Now I'm going to scroll 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now I'm going to pick one. Okay, I'm gonna count this. So this is Harry Potter, and Harry Potter is technically considered a children's. This will actually fit perfectly because I have been trying to reread every month the Harry Potter books. So I'm going to choose the one that I need to read, which is actually in there. That is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. This is one of my favorites, so I'm excited that that worked out for my Instagram one. So, very happy that I can continue my reread of Harry Potter. I would have continued it anyways, but this is just nice that I can kind of fit it in here. Number 5 is another 6. Okay. Right? Yep. So now I have a classic. This classic that I have to read has to deal with a color, so I will do a color generator and find that one out. The next one that I got was a classic, and for that one I have to read a classic that has a color on the cover. So I'm going to do a random color generator. I'm going to press this little button here. It says generate color. So I have done this one before. So the next one we have is 107, which is like, it says 107 Fae. So I need to find one that has this blue cover, or like that blue on the color, and I'm going to find that one and I will let you guys know what I pick. This is the only one that will work for this, and this is going to be a reread, but this is one that I have wanted to reread, and that is my cover of The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This is an Alma classic that I got from Hatchard's, I believe it's called, in London. It's the bookstore that the Queen shops at, so when I went there I had to pick one of these books up, and I picked this beautiful cover. So if you can see, we have some blue. Actually, I put it a little closer. So as you can see, we have some blue in the sky, but we also have like the blue of his suit. That is the only cover that I have that has a similar blue, and I think it worked. This is the classic that I'm choosing for the color prompt. Roll number 6 is a 1, so we have another classic. So for this one, I have author alliteration, so I basically have to find a classic book that the author has the same initial for their first and their last name. So this one might be hard to find, but we will see what book I pick for that one. Okay, so for the author with alliteration, this actually took a lot longer than I thought. There were a few authors that had alliteration with their names, but I already had read them. So the first one was like Siddhartha, which is by Herman Hesse, I believe, and then The Giver by Lois Lowry. And so I wanted to find one that I haven't read, and I'm a little nervous about this one because I'm pretty sure this book is kind of long, but I found Margaret Mitchell, who is the author of Gone with the Wind, which is, I feel like, one of those books that a lot of people are like, you should read, whatever. I don't know. So that one I hopefully can find at my library. But so that is going to be the book that I'm going to be reading. I'm very nervous about it, but hopefully I enjoy it. Hopefully I can even get through it. So that is going to be the book / the author that I chose for the classic with the alliteration for the name. Roll number 7 out of 8. It's a 4. Okay. Which means I have to add on another one. See what kind of a fantasy book that I will be reading. This is a big one. We have most recent purchase. For the next roll, I had another fantasy, and that one was my most recent purchase. So I had to think about this because there have been a few purchases that I have made. Going to consider my most recent purchase as well as a library book pickup because I have a few library books that I need to finish reading that I have technically borrowed. I know it's not a recent purchase, but I figured I would put these in because I'm pretty excited about it. So I will show you the 2 that I have left to read. But one of them is a YA and one of them is an adult. So the YA one is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. So it's about a girl named Elizabeth who has always known that all sorcerers are evil. She was raised in one of the great libraries, I believe it's called Ostermere, great library. She's grown up among the tools of sorcery, which are magical grimoires that whisper on the shelves and rattle beneath iron chains. If provoked, they transform into grotesque monsters of ink and leather. She hopes to become a warden, which are charged with protecting the kingdom from their power. And there has been an act of sabotage that releases the most dangerous library grimoire, and Elizabeth's desperate intervention implicates her in the crime, and she is torn from her home to face justice in the capital. With no one to turn but her sworn enemy, the sorcerer Nathaniel Thorne, and his mysterious demonic servant, she finds herself entangled in a centuries-old conspiracy. Not only could the great libraries go up in flames, but the world along with them. As her alliance with Nathaniel grows stronger, Elizabeth starts to question everything she's been taught about sorcerers, about the library she so loves, even about herself. For Elizabeth has a power she has never guessed in a future she could never have imagined. So this one seems really good because there are a lot of elements that I like in it. One, it takes place like in the library, so it's like one of those books within a book. I have recently discovered that I love conspiracy in literature, as well as, obviously, I just love good magic. So there is that one. And then we have an adult fantasy that's a little bit bigger, and this is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. This is the first book in the Burning, and so this one, it says I believe it's the Omahai. The Omahai people have been fighting an unwinnable battle for about 100,000 years. Their society has been built around war and only war. The lucky ones are born gifted. 1 in every 2,000 women has the power to call dragons. 1 in every 100 men is able to magically transform himself into a much bigger, stronger, fasting killing machine. Everyone else is fodder, destined to fight and die in the endless war. Young, giftless Tao knows all of this, but he has a plan of escape. He's going to get himself injured, get out early, and settle down to the simple life: marriage, children, land. Until those closest to him are brutally murdered and his grief swiftly turns to anger. Fueled by thoughts of revenge, Tao dedicates himself to an unthinkable path. He'll become the greatest swordsman to ever live, a man willing to die 100,000 times for the chance to kill the 3 that betrayed him. These both sound really good. I think I'm going to try Sorcery of Thorn, just because I know for sure that it has elements that I will really enjoy. I would still like to read this one this month. We'll see kind of what happens. It is a big boy. But I think I'm going to go with this one just because I know that I probably will really like it, and I'm excited to dive into this. So this one is going to be my most recent purchase / my most recent pickup. We have roll 8 out of 9. Alright, so we have a contemporary / romance. Figure out what kind of contemporary / romance we are going to read. We are going to be reading an adult contemporary / romance book. So this one is one of the extra rules that I had to choose from, and this one was another contemporary / romance book, which apparently just seems to be the theme this month. But for that prompt, we have an adult romance. For my adult romance / contemporary, I'm actually going to choose one that I have read another book by the author before, and I would like to read this book. Hopefully my library will have it, and that is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. Pretty much, I don't know what else you would expect. It's called The Hating Game, so I'm just going to assume 2 main characters hate each other, they despise each other, and they most likely will fall in love at the end because, come on, it's called The Hating Game, so what else can we expect? So hopefully that is one that my library will have. That is what I'm hopefully going to be reading for my adult romance. Last roll, let's go. 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me shuffle the... We have a Booktube recommend. So I will just search for some contemporary romance recommendation videos, and I will just choose one of those. And now we have the final roll. So this is another roll that I had to add on. This is, again, another contemporary romance, because apparently they just knew that I wanted to read them. I don't really know. I feel like adult romance books are kind of like my guilty pleasure, but they're so much fun to read because they're so predictable. But for this one, I have to choose one that Booktube recommends me. Okay, so I'm on Reagan's favorite romance books. So we're going to choose this one by Reagan. We'll kind of see what they are. The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. Save the Date. I've already read that one. Is this a Brandon Sanderson book? Emperor in the Ashes. And then what's this last one? Oh, Crazy Rich Asians. This is actually one that I've been wanting to read because I have just been wanting to read it because I've wanted to watch the movie. Crazy Rich Asians is by Kevin Kwan. So hopefully my library will have that as well. If they don't, I will just figure something out. But so that is the book that I'm going to read for my Booktube recommends. So that has been all of the books. I'm excited for this. I'm excited for the new game. I'm excited to see kind of how it goes on. But yeah, so these are just some of the titles that I will be reading in the month of March. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed my new game. Let me know down below in the comments what you think about it. But as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel so you can see more videos from me in the future. Otherwise, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!